Okay, we are rolling.
The next day it had stopped raining, but a thick white fog had lowered over the house.
I'm going for a walk,
said Coraline.
Don't go too far,
said her mother.
And dress up warmly.
Coraline put on her blue coat with a hood, her red scarf, and her yellow Wellington boots. She went out. Miss Spink was walking her dogs.
Hello, Caroline,
said Miss Spink.
Rotten weather.
Yes,
said Coraline.
I played Portia once,
said Miss Spink.
Miss Forcible talks about her Ophelia, but it was my Portia they came to see when we trod the boards.
Miss Spink was bundled up in pullovers and cardigans, so she seemed more small and circular than ever. She looked like a large, fluffy egg. She wore thick glasses that made her eyes seem huge.
They used to send flowers to my dressing room. They did,
she said.
Who did?
asked Coraline. Miss Spink looked around cautiously, looking over first one shoulder and then over the other, peering into the mists as though someone might be listening.
Men,
she whispered. Then she tugged the dogs to heel and waddled off back toward the house. Coraline continued her walk. She was 3/4 of the way around the house when she saw Miss Forcible standing at the door to the flat she shared with Miss Spink.
Have you seen Miss Spink, Caroline?
Coraline told her that she had, and that Miss Spink was out walking the dogs.
I do hope she doesn't get lost. It'll bring on her shingles if she does. You'll see,
said Miss Forcible.
You'd have to be an explorer to find your way around in this fog.
I'm an explorer,
said Coraline.
Of course you are, lovey,
said Miss Forcible.
Don't get lost now.
Coraline continued walking through the gardens in the gray mist. She always kept in sight of the house. After about 10 minutes of walking, she found herself back where she had started. The hair over her eyes was limp and wet, and her face felt damp.
Ahoy, Caroline!
Called the crazy old man upstairs.
Oh, hello,
said Coraline. She could hardly see the old man through the mist. He walked down the steps on the outside of the house that led up past Coraline's front door to the door of his flat. He walked down very slowly. Coraline waited at the bottom of the stairs.
Mice do not like mist,
he told her.
It makes whiskers droop.
I don't like the mist much either,
admitted Coraline. The old man leaned down, so close that the bottoms of his mustache tickled Coraline's ear.
Mice have message for you,
he whispered. Coraline didn't know what to say.
Message is this. Don't go through door.
He paused.
Does it mean anything to you?
No,
said Coraline. The old man shrugged.
They're funny, mice. They get things wrong. They got your name wrong, you know. They kept saying Coraline, not Caroline. Not Caroline at all.
He picked up a milk bottle from the bottom of the stairs and started back up to his attic flat. Coraline went indoors. Her mother was working in her study. Her mother's study smelled of flowers.
What shall I do?
Asked Coraline.
When do you go back to school?
Next week,
said Coraline. Said her mother.
I suppose I shall have to get you new school clothes. Remind me, dear, or else I'll forget.
And she went back to typing things on the computer screen.
What shall I do?
Repeated Coraline.
Draw something.
Her mother passed her a sheet of paper and a ballpoint pen. Coraline tried drawing the mist. After 10 minutes of drawing, she still had a white sheet of paper with M-I-S-T written on it in one corner in slightly wiggly letters. She grunted and passed it to her mother.
Very modern, dear,
said Coraline's mother. Coraline crept into the drawing room and tried to open the old door in the corner. It was locked once more. She supposed her mother must have locked it again. She shrugged. Coraline went to see her father.
Absolutely excellent, troops. Very good work. Tamar, just one note for you, which you could not possibly have known, because I'm assuming you've not read the book. When the Russian says, do you know anything about the door? And she says, no. She's lying. Because in the previous chapter we find this door.
Okay.
So that I would have directed you on that, obviously. And if I didn't, then you would be liable to, perfectly reasonable to shoot me for that, because it's foreshadowing as to what's to come.
Okay.
With the audiobooks, we do have to look between the lines of the copy. Yes, your director hopefully will be giving you those little tidbits along the way, but when you get an audiobook manuscript, Basic Audiobooks 101, read the first chapter, read the last chapter, and then fill in the blanks in the middle, okay? That's how you approach reading an audiobook manuscript. You just can't sit down and read it for giggles. You've got to read it for content, okay? Wonderful work. You're all great, and you should be pursuing audiobooks. Get out. I've got to get the next group in.
This is your copy.
Yes, you have your